Welcome to Lea County Pod. This is Jack Campbell. Our host today is Pete Malignick. Pete, would you please introduce our guest today?
Thank you, Jack. Today's guest is Christy Newton, who is the Executive Director of the Lea County Museum in Lovington, New Mexico. Christy, we're very happy to be with you and talk about the museum and other things.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. Glad you guys came and asked me to be a part of this with you.
To begin with, Christy, could you tell us a little about yourself, your personal story?
Okay, so about me, I love talking about myself, but what woman doesn't? So I am born and raised here in Lovington. Well, born in Hobbs because I was born too late to be born in Lovington, but born in Hobbs, raised here. My parents are originally from Lubbock, and they came here and fell in love with Lovington and Lea County and the small community that it is. And so I went to school here, graduated from Lovington High School, and then I worked for the county for 10 years when they ultimately decided that they were going to close down my office here in Lovington and wanted me to drive to Hobbs, and I just felt in my heart that that wasn't what I was supposed to do. Felt like I should be working something here in Lovington and putting my love back into Lovington. And so I started the hunt, and ultimately I ended up here at the museum, and I'm excited to be here. I'm a mom to a 12-year-old.
Oh.
He actually turned 12 today.
Wow.
So he's my driving force in whatever I do.
Huh.
I want him to know that hard work pays off, and untraditional jobs are just as good as traditional jobs.
I have a question. You had mentioned graduating from Lovington High School. Did you ever know Linda Cannell or Johnny Cannell? Linda was somebody I worked with at New Mexico Junior College, but she was in the Lovington school system for years.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know that I know her.
Might have been before your time.
Maybe.
And the same with her. Her husband was he's now deceased, but he was a school principal in Lovington.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's a lot of families here in Lovington that they just go on for generation and generation, and you end up in a conversation with somebody and find out you know a lot of their family.
Did you ever go to school with Brian Urlacher?
No, he's older than me.
Okay.
But, he's a big shadow to fall in for any athlete.
Yeah.
It's always, we have Brian Urlacher, which he's a great athlete. I love football. It's one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday. Sit around and watch football.
Oh, great, yeah.
It's pretty much what we did all weekend with it being playoffs.
Oh, nice, yeah. Who's going to get into the Super Bowl this year?
So I think it's going to be the Seahawks and the Patriots.
Okay.
I think there's still one more game to determine it, but it's looking like that's who it's going to be.
And soon we'll know, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there have been some teams that had amazing seasons this year.
Mm-hmm. And back to you, I like what you said, Christy, about hard work paying off, because I believe that, for everybody. I mean, it's generally true for people. And you've had different jobs in the county before you've come here.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I really liked working for the county. I always thought that, well, actually, when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a flight attendant. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world and get paid for it, because doesn't everybody want that? But then reality hit, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then I had my son. So life changes very quickly, and I ended up getting on with the county, which my mom was a dispatcher for Lea County for 10, 15 years.
For the sheriff's office?
Yes, for the sheriff's office. So when they had a position open up, it kind of was a little bit of that, small town, who helps you a lot. And so I was able to get in there under the late Sheriff Steve Ackerman, who I had known my whole life. And so he really helped me get in there. And so I was records for the sheriff's office for 6.5 years before I decided, I think I should try something else. and kind of stuck with the law enforcement field, but went into the backside of it. So it was working with misdemeanor compliance, which is probation. And so I had an administrative office role there as well. So it was really interesting. I got to see, you know, the beginning processes of an arrest, and then I got to see what happens after everything's done. And so it was really fun. It was really exciting. I never really knew what was going to come across my desk each day, so learned how to adapt and flow very quickly.
Sure. Steve Ackerman, I knew him very little, but I did get to know him toward the end of his life, and he left us too soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at a loss for Lea County.
It was a
And
huge loss.
I guess there is the new sheriff election coming up
Yes,
soon,
so there will
too?
be a new election coming up. I think that they officially can declare their candidacy in March, and then I think elections are in April or May. I could be wrong on those dates, but I had a conversation a while back, and I think those sound right.
Do you think the incumbent will stay in office, or,
I'm not sure.
okay?
There's a lot of moving parts behind that right now. So I'm not sure, but I hope whoever gets it does right by the county and the citizens.
Certainly, yeah. In addition to watching football, do you have other hobbies?
I really like crafting, making things with my hands, spending time with my family. We spend a lot of time outside when the weather's nice, which around Christmas time was nice because we got to spend a whole day outside in December.
Uh-huh.
So we're really big on family. Me, my mom, my son, my sister and her kids. We are all here in Lovington, and we try to spend as much time together as we can.
Do you ever spend much time in the park here in Lovington?
Yes. So with my son being here, he does baseball. So we go over there and we go fishing here at the park. So we try to use as much as we can that Lovington has to offer. We enjoy when they do activities here, smoking on the plaza, the 4th of July celebration in the park, the fair and rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
We like going and doing rather than sitting at home and being bored twiddling our thumbs all day.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll have a good variety of activities coming up at the museum, too.
Yes, so right now I pretty much have an activity event scheduled for every month until June, with the exception of April.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we've got some variety. We've got book signing. We've got a Valentine's Day event, so that's actually going to be my introduction to the community as the new director. We're calling it Rekindle Your Love for History, and that one we're going to hold over in the Lister building, and just kind of do it in open house format. Come meet, take ideas from the public of what they would like to see, because the museum's here for the community, and so community response and interaction is really what we need right now. So that
we're in the museum right now, and I just love this building here.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask this, Christy. What's the hardest thing you've ever done? Is that how I want to? What do you think is the hardest thing for you to have done?
Well, I think for me personally, the hardest thing that I've ever had to do is to raise a little boy on my own.
Okay.
And give him the guidance to do what he needs to do and make decisions on his own. And, you know, it's a big deal, but it's really rewarding when people tell you, hey, your son was holding the door open for a girl today at school, and that's why he's not in the car yet.
Sure.
And he's so respectful. And, you know, it's really hard. It's hard to raise a kid in this generation while also working full time and doing all of that. I have to split my focus a little bit, and, you know, that's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But
I'm not a parent, but well, Jack, you have.
Well, I have a stepson and 2 daughters. All of them are grown up, all of them are adults, and all of them are pursuing their own particular interests. What leads me is I've I'm sort of transgenerational. Uh, you can't call me Gen X. I'm more of a boomer than anybody else. Uh, but again, boomer doesn't really cut it. My folks grew up during the Great Depression and lived through World War II, and I came late into their lives.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I was raised on their uh, perspectives and on their discipline. And so I got the mindset of really someone who not only my parents who grew up through the Great Depression, but their parents were influential in that it's more of a late 1800s perspective, more of a frontier perspective as opposed to a modern era perspective.
Mhm.
And so when you're telling me you're raising your child, what really flows in terms of that influence? I mean, where are you picking from to give you insight and wisdom and discernment?
So I take a lot of it from my mother, from, like you said, how was I raised, but then also realizing that times have changed. There is a lot that's different, and just also allowing him to have some input in who he wants to be.
Mhm.
You know, I may want him to do all these extracurricular activities, but I don't want to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. And it's something that I see a lot, you know, in the world is kids are doing things because their parents want them to do it and not really because they have any interest in it. And I don't ever want to force him to do something he doesn't want to do, and I want him to be comfortable enough to speak up and say, "Hey, Mom, I get that you want me to do that, but I don't really think that's something I want to do."
My question, I have my hand up as if I'm in a classroom, but uh, does he seem naturally inclined toward baseball?
Yes.
Because I myself like that. I was never good at playing it, but I like it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so he started playing baseball when he was 5. And of course, at that point, it was, I want you to do this because it's something I want you to do. He was younger.
Hmm.
But then every year that it comes up, it's always, do you want to play this year? And if he says no, then the choice is his. But if he says yes, then absolutely.
Does he gravitate toward any particular position or
Catcher?
catcher?
Yes.
I've always thought, see, that to me is like the most challenging
It is.
of the 9 positions.
It's an exhausting position because he's got to be in the game. He has to pay attention. He has to pay attention when he's on the field. He has to pay attention when he's off the field because it takes a minute to put all that catcher's gear on. So
Sure,
you have
yeah.
to be aware of what's going on at all times in the game. And he really enjoys baseball. But if they tell him get out in center field, that's where he's going to be. So he likes that.
And hopefully too, as with the pitchers, um, the little league, is that
Mhm.
what, they're very mindful of protective gear for these players.
Yes.
You know, even in the major leagues, I think it's happening more and more. You know,
Mhm.
but I think that's just great. You know, as you could say of so many things, it sounds like a character builder, but attention skills are so important. I think I had attention deficit, maybe I still do, you know, but I mean, it's so important, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So yeah, keep him busy, but also let him have a say in what he wants to do
Mhm.
because it's his life too, and he shouldn't be forced to do something he doesn't want to do. Even as adults, you know, sometimes we have to do things we don't really want to do, but we always, you know, at least have our voice to say, I'm going to do this, but I don't really enjoy it.
You know, and that's sort of like what we're doing right now. I mean, it started with 2 people talking about an idea, you know, and we've made it into a reality that's flourishing because of thanks to you and people like you.
Mhm.
You know, we try to get a diversity of people in our podcasts, and so we really enjoy it, and I enjoy being, back in this building where, for at least 15 years I was a board member.
Yeah, because you have the history here with it.
One could look at the record. I would be kind of curious to know, because I'm pretty sure everybody except a former director, Jim Harris, that I know who was on the original board is no longer among us. All of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, which brings me to another thing about the museum. You mentioned that a little bit later today you're going to be meeting with a paranormal person. You want to?
Yeah, so we're not sure yet if we're gonna do it, but I was approached last week by a lady here in Lovington that is starting up a business, a YouTube channel and Facebook channel where she wants to do the paranormal investigations. And so she approached and asked if I had any information on this building, which luckily, with me being new enough, I don't have any information on if there's ever been any paranormal activity here. So I'm meeting with her today to get some more information about what that process would look like, and then it will be presented to the board for their approval, just because I feel like that's something that could be a controversial topic. Community members could see it as a negative. People could see it as a positive, but I don't want to make that decision on my own. I want to have the board's input on it to see how they feel, what they think about it. I think it would be a wonderful thing to do, but again, it's not solely my decision, because the museum runs not just by me, but as you said, there is a board. Mm-hmm. There's a board of directors, and their input matters too.
And see, someone like me, I do not believe in ghosts, but I'd like to think of myself as an open-minded person, and I say, why not? Like talking with Max Furyk, with whom we did a podcast a couple of months ago. It was very interesting, but I think of all of the different places, the dugout, mm-hmm. which is right over there.
Right outside.
I love that house.
The Love Home.
The Love Home.
Yeah.
The schoolhouse. The old store.
Yes. So one of the concerns with that would not necessarily be, with anything haunting happening. My biggest concern would be, what if a family member of somebody, we have the Johnson's family and the Baker family that have items here. I would never want to offend any of their family. And, by saying, oh, we had a paranormal investigation done, and let's say that there was some activity in that room, I would hate to offend the family that we're representing here. So it's just something that we need to have a discussion about and talk about all the possibilities of,
sure.
How somebody else might feel, because how I feel might not be how you feel or how Jack feels. And, we do represent these families and hold their honor here with a lot of their items, and we want to make sure that we're not doing anything to disrespect that trust that they've put with us.
Yeah, so such a good thing to take into consideration. I was telling Jack as we were driving up about the buyer's room in the upstairs of the Lister building, and all the work that the late Joe Byers, whose grandparents founded Hobbs,
Mm-hmm.
Their surname was Hobbs.
That painting right there is done by a Byers.
Minnie Byers,
yes.
Joe's mother.
Yeah, and so I actually, years ago, my mother came into the museum doing some research, because I have a great-great-grandmother whose name was Winnie Byers, and she had a twin sister named Minnie Byers. And so when we heard this name being floated around Lovington, we had to come and see if it was our family. So my mom came and did some research. It's not. It just happens to be Byers is with a Winnie and a Minnie.
Wow.
And so that was really interesting. So when I started here and I saw that, every time I see that painting now, I think back to, well, it could have been my family. It just wasn't.
Yeah, and I that picture's been here a long time, and Joe worked a long time on that room.
It's a really nice
which
room
is
over there.
a lot of it an honor to his brother, who was a pilot that died during World War II, but
Mhm.
the whole family is represented. Your family, though, has been in this area for a pretty good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we just kind of take it where we go. My family was the buyers were in Seminole, but I have a lot of family in Seminole, Lubbock, Hobbs, um, Lamesa,
Mm-hmm.
so Enix. I have grandparents that are buried in Enix. So we just kind of bounce all around here,
Yeah.
but we stay here.
Me too.
Yes, we like it here.
I'm a transplant. I was raised in New Jersey, but I've been here for, oh gosh, 35 years or so, and no plans to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I always say, people come and they either love it here or they can't wait to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And people that grow up here, like I said, when I was in school and I was younger, I wanted to be a flight attendant. I couldn't wait to get out of here. And then I grew up and realized, you know what? I like it here. I like going to the big cities for a getaway, for a little vacation, but I want to come back to my small town.
I'm going to bore Jack, if I haven't done that already today, with repeated information. When I came here to interview for a job at New Mexico Junior College, I was told Hobbs is a disaster-free place. By and large, that's held true. We don't have floods. I remember one small flood in Hobbs when the drainage wasn't as good as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the threatening fires that they have, say, in Southern California. Earthquakes, nothing. Yeah, we are pretty much
Yeah.
disaster-free, and I think
We get hailstorms.
a
That's
little
something that most people around,
Yeah.
or you tell them, oh yeah, we got a hailstorm, and they don't realize it until you show pictures and videos that says, yeah, here's the south side of my house with no windows after a
Yeah.
hailstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh wow, that's a storm. So,
Yeah, the worst hailstorm I was ever in was in northern Louisiana, but yeah, we don't like the hailstorms.
no, that last one that we had here, it knocked out all the windows on the south side of my house in 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness. But you know, all things considered, we might have the best weather in the country. You know, it's a little bit dry, but
Mhm.
look at this winter. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a real snow lover, it wouldn't look so good.
Mm-mm.
But it's been so mild.
Yeah.
Going back to the museum.
It happens.
Yeah. What do you hope to accomplish, Christy, as a new executive director in the coming year here?
Okay, so that's something that I really have put a lot of thought into this. I want the museum to become a typical household conversation topic. I want to have activities going on that gets the community excited. I want to bring the community in, and I want to put the museum back into the community. Participate in the activities, go and give out information, have schools come. I just feel like not a lot of places have museums like this that show the history of the community. And I feel like it has a lot here. Even since I've started, kids come in and they're looking around and they're excited because they're like, oh, I know where that building is, and they're pointing at the pictures. And then, so many people don't even know that this museum's here. And I want to change that. I want to get it to where everybody says, hey, did you see what the museum had going on this weekend? I'm sad we missed it. Why'd we miss it? And then they come to the next event. Or, smoking on the plaza. I really want to get involved in that, and I want to open up our pavilion area. We have picnic tables back there. It's shaded. Let's have a seating area for the community. Be open that day to where people can come through and tour the museum while they're out on smoking on the plaza. Take a little air conditioned break, and take advantage of what the community provides to us, and also put back into the community.
I remember toward the end of my tenure as a board member, we were having a lot of activities in the Lister building, but looking back, I always thought that this building here is really accommodating for more intimate settings, you know, like a crowd of 8 to 15,
Yes.
say, or even maybe up to 20, 25. That's about it,
Yeah.
probably, but there are so many nice spaces here.
There are. So I mentioned we have a book signing coming up at the end of the month, and we're actually going to hold it right here
Mhm.
where we are. We're going to rearrange the room a little bit, but we're going to have both of our authors sitting on this couch, presenting to a crowd this way for their readings, and then just have it more of a laid back,
Yeah,
comfortable type of setting, and see how that works.
Jack and I have an open mic series, and the first one that we did was in the Lister building on the ground floor. I guess it might be coming up 3 years in September.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, time flies.
Well, maybe in September we can do another one and
Have one
and
here,
host
yeah,
y'all here to.
You know, and again, the challenge for you, for us, is getting people through the door and publicity, all of that stuff. And we think about, you know, working in conjunction with other groups, well, the museum being one, to help us bolster our open mic series
Yeah.
and our
Absolutely.
podcast series.
All it takes is that one little connection to click and ignite. That's all it takes. And everybody's looking for that one ignition.
Yes.
And you know, I'm looking for the ignition for the museum. What's
Sure.
it gonna be that just suddenly says, that was amazing. I wanna go back and do more like that.
Yeah, and thinking about like what you want. I mean, for example, do you want to acquire another building, or do you want to change, you know,
Well,
some of the buildings already
The
here?
issue with, I would love to have more buildings, but we need to have people to help with them.
Yes.
Even now, you know, we're running into the issue of, we have the Lister building and we have all of those wonderful exhibits over there. I counted it. We have about 30 exhibits over in the Lister building.
Wow.
But with me being the sole employee, and I need to run paperwork, it's hard to be able
You need a
to.
proactive board.
It's hard for me to be able to take people over there.
Sure.
When you know.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to figure it out so that we can get either volunteers in here or get the funds so that we can hire a part-time employee to help.
In hoping that every board member does their part.
Yes.
I understand this stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be wonderful. I would love to have more buildings and more stuff that we can show to the community. But the museum is not a one-person. It is not a one-person show.
Right.
And so it's a lot. I'm gonna put in my one person and pretend like I have a little clone running around.
But you've got to have that help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're working on it. Once we figure out the best course of action, you know, I have been working with my board on how can we make this happen. We need to make this happen.
I just thought of something. Remember, well, this is a casual podcast. Jackie Mulkey with those kids with their art. They came to an open mic. This is somebody who we've done a couple of podcasts with, and she works with young children, but she seems to know a number of kids who are real interested in art. You know, approach her about maybe having the kids have a little art show over here.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know?
I have several ideas. I would love to get youth involved. I also know that we have a lot of really talented jewelry artists here in Lee County.
Of what
Jewelry?
artists? Oh, jewelry.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it would be interesting to bring some of those in and have a live demonstration of, you know, this is how I make my jewelry, and maybe have a small jewelry sale. To my knowledge, nothing like that has ever been done in the museum. We've had art shows, we've had book sales, but I don't think we've ever had anything with jewelry.
Sounds like it would be great.
Yeah, so I do have some ideas, and hopefully we'll get to see some of those come up.
You know, when I was, well, I've got my question here, and I've been thinking about this as we've been talking. How do you see the Lee County Museum fitting into the landscape of Lee County? I guess the cultural landscape?
Yeah, well, you know, we have a huge variety of cultures here in Lee County. It's that's the nice thing is it's not predominantly one ethnicity. We have a variety here, and I think that everybody should feel represented in the museum.
Yes.
And you know, you come in and even looking at our books, we have right here on the table, you know, we have Hidden Treasures of the American West. I know that we have ethnically, you know, there is a lot of representation for people here, but I also want them community members to feel like if they don't feel represented here, let's fix that.
Yeah.
You know, we have over in the Lister building, we have a Hispanic heritage exhibit, we have an African American exhibit, we have a Native American exhibit. We actually have one in the Lister building and one here.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody comes in and sees something that they don't feel represents them correctly, I want them to bring that to me.
Sure.
You know, because I might not be aware of it, or the board might not be aware of it, and get that community engagement. If somebody wants to come over and do our Hispanic Heritage Room and volunteer to take that project on, let's do it. Let's work together because the museum is here for the community. And,
Sure.
you know, I want everybody to feel represented, and they should. And I think looking around, there is a really good representation here. You just have to look for it.
I wonder if in any way you, the Lee County Museum, could contribute to the Western Heritage Center and vice versa. You know, and I think about these things, I think of groups of people, you know, like with regard to Jack and I and our open mixers, can we get a group interested in what we're doing?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, but.
So it is something that I'm working on. I am trying to get in connection with other local groups here, you know, the NMJC Foundation group, United Way, the Center for the Arts, JF Maddox Foundation. So I do have my feelers out to see what can we do to help you, and is there anything that you can do to help us, even if it's just an idea, a suggestion, hey, maybe you should try this out, because they do the same thing that we do. I mean, it's slightly different, but we all have the same goal, and the goal is to better the community.
Exactly.
And so why not put our heads together and see what we can come up with, and build a robot of organizations.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned like the Center for the Arts. Jack and I have an interest in that. The United Way. Now, we are friends with the director of the United Way, Becca Titus. She's just great, and we've had a couple of podcasts with her. We hope to have another one with her. Yeah, you know, she's one of our heroes of Lee County. And I, you know, I don't mean to be flippant about that. I really believe that she is one of the heroes.
So that's something that I've been in contact. I'm putting my hand out and saying, hey, I'm new here. I don't know if there's ever been any type of relationship between the museum and you guys, but I'm here. Let me know if you ever need me, and I hope that we can work together.
Yeah.
You know, because with me coming in new, I don't have all the information of what's been done here in the past, so, and it's kind of a good thing. I'm looking at it as, you know, I get a fresh slate, and I can say, let's start over new. If there is a relationship, let's just start it new.
Well, it's pretty exciting. Jack, how are we doing on our time here?
We'll probably need to wrap it up pretty soon. But I do have a question. When you're going through the building here, what are you feeling? I mean, when I'm in a place that I'm sort of a history nerd in some respects. I have my favorite eras. But when you're going through the building here and you're seeing all these different displays and exhibits and the material that has come down through our ancestors, what are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Do you feel connected to it? What?
So I feel, for me personally, I feel that a lot of it starts to make sense. A lot of parts in my life start to make sense. You know, we have our fair and rodeo that's a huge, huge deal here. And then walking through and seeing, you know, some of the historical ranchers being represented here, then it kind of makes me think, oh, maybe that's why our fair and rodeo is so big, because when Lee County first started off, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was farming and ranching that really drove Lee County
Sure.
and ignited Lee County.
Mm-hmm.
So then that kind of makes sense to me. So the more that I walk through and I spend time in the rooms and reading the information and doing my own research, a lot of it starts to click and make sense. So for me, it helps me to feel connected and understand where I came from. I mean, I came through the museum when I was in 3rd grade on a
Wow.
school field trip, and I remember it, but I don't have that remembrance of, oh, I saw this painting and I think it was really interesting. I just have the memory of being here with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But every time that I would drive by, I was like, you know, I've been in there before. So it also does have a little bit of that nostalgia, to where walking through a room and I'm like, wait, I have a picture of me and my friend in this room from when I was in the 3rd grade.
Wow.
You know, and so many Lee County kids do come through here on school field trips, and then they grow up to be adults. And I've had other people come in and say, man, I haven't been in here since I was a kid. And I just want everybody to feel comfortable and to come and look and see, because you may never know. You may come across a painting that's by a family member of yours and you didn't even realize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Minnie Byers.
Yeah.
And up here, Carrie Swenson,
Mm-hmm.
I knew her fairly well. We were on the board together. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a gentleman walk through the other day with his kids, and one of our saddles in the back, I'm not sure the name on it right off the top of my head, but he looked and he said, oh, I know that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, I didn't know he had stuff in the museum. So, you know, you never know what you're going to find in here.
Sure.
And you could come several times and find something new every time you come, because there is a lot of information here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have this building and the Lister building, and combined we have about 55 exhibits between the 2 locations, and that's a lot.
Boy.
And a lot of people don't know we're here, and they're missing out on a lot of good information and just interesting stuff.
Yeah, and we'll do our part to help get the word out, but it's really exciting for me to know that you're here now, Christy, and I look forward to coming back and to various activities here. And
I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the community so far. Not really, it's nice. It's nice for people to say, you know, I've heard about you already, and I've heard great things about you, and it makes me want to put in more effort, put in more. I don't have much more effort to put in, but I'm finding it.
I'm trying to think of there's a room upstairs, the big, the ranching family.
The Osborne room, the Saddles and Spurs, or
Johnson?
the Lane Johnson room.
Yeah, that was a beautiful room. It'd be nice to, like I was saying to Jack, I'll have to show you the Byers room over in the Lister building one day, or the Johnson one. Matter of fact, he did a book that from the Lee County Museum Press that we had Close to Daylight, something
so
like
that book is actually really popular right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a lady come in about a month ago looking for that book, and I said, yeah, I have it. So she got it. She said, I was looking for it on Amazon, and she could only find it on Amazon used for about $200.
Wow.
So, you know, it's good to hear that books like that are doing well, and that we have them here.
Sure.
You know, shop local, because ours is not anywhere close to $200.
I would love to see the Lee County Museum Press come back, but you know, that, like so much else, depends on the board, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jack, how are we?
I think we probably need to wrap this up. So thank you very much for your time today
course.
and your graciousness in hosting us here. This museum is a wonderful space. Again, it's about our past, about where we came from, and we should honor that. This is Jack Hamill with Lea County Pod. Thank you for joining us today.